Hi, I'm here with this week's happiness strategy. I'll be reading aloud our weekly featured article. Every week I feature an article on empowered living on my website, and I also share my writing out on Thrive Global. I share both the article, a video, as well as some other tips and strategies out every Thursday morning to my list called M's Weekly Inspiration. And if you're not already signed up to receive those free notes, you can do so by following the link that I'll share below this video. I'll also share the direct link to the article in case you want to have a read through later. So this week our article is a new one that I've just written. It's called, Are You Willing to Offer Yourself the Comfort That You Seek? It may be easier than you think. What does comfort feel like to you? When you need comfort, do you make yourself a priority? Or do you tend to distract yourself? As human beings, it's natural to need and desire comfort. It's normal to want to feel like everything will be okay amidst uncertainty. Life is a mix of ups and downs. If we fail to tend to the relationship we have with ourselves, the inner battle we have within us easily becomes the most tumultuous part of our human journey. Making the relationship we have with ourselves a priority is not narcissistic. On the contrary, investing in our well-being helps us to become well-beings. When we lack self-awareness or deny ourselves the comfort and care we need, that's when we become the worst version of ourselves. When we turn our back on ourselves, we create a disconnect. That disconnect is what leads to the tendency to act out, overreact, blame others, fall into the notion that life is terrible or hard, worry incessantly about things out of our control, believe others are out to get us, and basically lose faith in the magic of life itself. When we don't deal with our shit as it comes up, we become the people who nobody wants to be around. There is no need to become the high-maintenance friend or the pain-in-the-ass relative who lives for being a martyr. Expecting other people to fix us, make us happy, or deal with our unresolved inner turmoil is extremely selfish and more than a tad narcissistic, if you ask me. It's important to care about the relationship we have with ourselves, period. It's essential to appoint ourselves the curators of our happiness instead of expecting others to fulfill that role. Let's lay to rest once and for all the confused notion that self-care is selfish. Imagine what life would feel like if we all gave ourselves a bit more grace and comfort as we need it. Imagine how much smoother our inner game and outer game would become if we simply made ourselves a priority on the caregiving chain. Here are the 3 methods I use to cultivate a more awake and in-tune relationship with myself in a way that brings me comfort. If these ways resonate with you, give them a try. Number 1, tend to your core wound. Our core wound is that well-traveled place within us that doesn't feel good. It is often a self-limiting belief we developed in childhood for any number of reasons. I view my core wound as that first inner severing I experienced when I wholeheartedly believed I wasn't good enough. I'm not talking about the not good enough that is healthy, like the kind where we honor and celebrate our strengths and weaknesses or darkness and light. I'm referring to the not good enough that brings you to your knees. The kind that creates a serious disconnect and feeling of discord in your inner spirit. That shit is real. And it can rear its ugly head in the most inopportune times. Usually it comes up when we are feeling vulnerable or when we are in serious need of nurturing. Our core wound can be triggered by new experiences, old experiences, or experiences we haven't yet fully moved through. The point is, our core wound becomes a part of our story. Instead of trying to overcome it, hide it, deny it, or pass by it, simply know it, acknowledge it, and tend to it if it happens to come up. Give the wounded version of yourself some reprieve. Instead of avoiding, covering up, or lashing out, give yourself the comfort you need. Let the evolved part of who you are step up and nurture the wounded part of who you are. It's okay. It's part of being human. Number 2, get clear on your sources of comfort. What are your sources of comfort? Everyone has a different life experience. What brings me comfort most likely isn't what brings you comfort. There are different foods, smells, scenery, sounds, and people we associate with comfort. Get crystal clear on what your sources of comfort include. Make a list of all the healthy ways you can comfort yourself. Think of the different scenarios you tend to find yourself in and match up some go-to comfort cures. If it makes sense, create a comfort kit. I love essential oils and am never without lavender oil or peppermint for headaches. Come to think of it, I also grow lavender and peppermint in my garden, and I pick it regularly. I keep fresh cut lavender at my bedside, in my bathroom, in my office, and always have a bottle of essential oil in my purse. The point here is to know yourself and know yourself well. Then when you find yourself at a crossroads or simply in a state of discomfort, it's easier to know how to be your best caregiver and reduce the urge to completely melt down. Unless, of course, if having a meltdown is what brings you comfort, then by all means do that. And number 3, create meaningful rituals. Along with knowing your triggers and your comfort cures, it's simply smart planning to regularly do things that make you feel good. The best way to create healthy habits that stick is to have meaningful rituals in place. For example, sleep is important. We all know that. If you want to set yourself up for a good night's sleep, create healthy rituals. I use a traditional alarm clock instead of my phone because I know if I keep my phone by my bed at night, I will be drawn to check my email or scroll the internet. My addiction to technology will always hijack my sleep. So I plan ahead. Instead of reaching for my phone before I doze off, I think of 3 things that I'm grateful for, and I set the intention to get the most restful sleep possible. This isn't complex rocket science here. I keep my rituals simple and meaningful to me, and that's how they stick. The idea is to take initiative and aim to be 100% accountable for your own comfort and happiness. Then, instead of defaulting to autopilot and wondering why it all feels so hard, you see yourself as resourceful. When we tune in often and grow our awareness of ourselves, it becomes easier to step in and know how to put parameters in place that will set us up to feel good. What about you? What rituals do you have in place that create comfort in your life? So that's our article this week. And again, I will include the link in case you want to have a read through in this video below. And I just invite everyone this week to just kind of get curious and just notice yourself and notice in your day if you happen to get in those uncomfortable places that we all can go in. Just notice how you move through that. If you allow yourself to move through those emotions, or if you cover them up or distract yourself, just start noticing what your patterns are, and even just start getting a bit clearer on what it is that brings you comfort. Our ways can be, they tend to be completely different than each other. They can be quirky, but just own what your ways of offering yourself comfort are, and just even in the back of your mind, create that list of some go-to places for the different scenarios that you can find yourself in, whether you're driving, at work, in difficult conversations, just trying to fall asleep. What all of those kind of triggers can be that can have us feeling just uncomfortable inside of ourselves, or just being discord or anxiety or whatever, kind of uncomfortable emotions that can come up during the day. Just have some go-to places that just match up, that will bring you comfort, and just even if you don't feel like writing them out, just even bring them to mind. And it's just funny how when we begin shining light on what those ways are and just increasing our self-awareness, we do tend to become more resourceful, and it becomes easier to sort of tap into what those places are instead of just defaulting to autopilot or to letting that kind of wounded place inside of ourselves, letting that place sort of lead our path. So instead, just giving that sort of wounded part of ourselves or our agitated part of ourselves, give that place within us just a bit of comfort and a bit of reprieve by just taking initiative to offer yourself what it is that you're really after and what you're really needing in that space and place, rather than continuing to move forward from that place that can be really reactive and can kind of cause us to sort of spiral out of control, and to it's okay to feel uncomfortable and to move through those places and to have, emotions that aren't always happy and joyful. That's not really what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is to, a lot of times when we're reactive or when we are feeling uncomfortable, it's because we are seeking that comfort. So it's just all about putting ourselves in that driver's seat to become aware of what our triggers are, to become aware when we're in those places, and to have some tools in place to really offer to ourselves what it is that we're really after, which is so often just some comforting, and to send that message to ourselves that all is well and everything is going to be okay. So again, if any of this resonates with you this week, I just invite you to consider just taking a look at it and building your own toolbox, and just increasing that self-awareness in order to just have some tools in place to help yourself just feel resourceful. And I think that's what it's all about, just knowing that we do have what we need right now in this moment to feel good about life and to feel good about who we are. So again, as always, I hope that you have a really amazing week, and I look forward to connecting again soon. Thanks so much.